Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. AMC stock is down about 2% today. And we're really not getting too much news on this court proceeding. And this is really going to mean next week is going to get volatile unless at some point here today we do get an update, which is certainly possible. So be on the lookout for that. I can't sit here and forecast that. I have no idea what time this proceeding is going to be over with. I would imagine since it's a court proceeding, you could get a development by the end of the day today, considering markets close at 4. From my knowledge, courtrooms usually close 4 or 5. So we'll see what happens. Be on the lookout for that. But we got some news yesterday of kind of what was said in the courts, and I want to go over that, as well as talk about Intera Capital selling millions of more shares of AMC, give you a rundown of the Ortex data, of the Stocko Tracker data, as well as the inflation data and the personal spending data that we got this morning, guys. So let's go ahead and get into all of this information. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. So first things first, again, AMC stock is down 1.5%. It's kind of getting pretty volatile here. You kind of rallied as soon as we opened for trading, came down, trading sideways here. We haven't got any solid update from the courts, or if the judge lifted the status quo order, or what happened here. We didn't get any updates yet. Now, the last we knew is that the lawyer for the Apes, essentially, that is against this proposal, or was against this proposal, says that people are angry because they feel like they are not being heard. And they believe that AMC stabbed them in the back by controlling a vote that shifted the balance of ownership to holders of preferred stock. I mean, when you put it like that for the courts and the judge, I mean, that's exactly what they did. Now, he goes on to say that right here, the investor's attorney, Mark Lebovich, I don't know really how to say that, said at the hearing that after receiving more information about AMC's financial status, the investors were convinced the company could successfully argue the injunction would drive it into bankruptcy. So basically saying that they felt like they were forced to just go ahead and go through with this because AMC would otherwise have a serious bankruptcy concern. They said, quote, "We leveraged, I don't want to say a bluff, but a situation where we had a real risk of getting a 0. Huh. Yeah. So that's the last thing we heard. This settlement's going to be worth $129 million if and when it does go through. I imagine it goes through just because, again, if it doesn't, the company's possibly facing bankruptcy if they're not able to raise capital in some form or another. But the judge does not have to allow this to go through right away. She could take up to 90 days to make a final ruling and final decision on this. So keep that in mind. Although it's very likely that we do hear something potentially by the end of this day, if not by next week for sure, and get a final ruling, it doesn't have to be a final ruling for 90 days. So that is always a possibility. Now, Intera Capital this morning sold another 2.4 million shares of Ape. The insider, this says 105 million shares of Ape. Last I knew, they only owned about 90 million shares of Ape. So they've been selling tons of shares recently. As you can see, I mean, on Wednesday, Intera Capital sold 8 million shares. On Thursday, Intera Capital sold 7.5 million shares. On Tuesday, June 20th, they sold 2 million. On Wednesday, June 14th, they sold 2.8 million. And on Monday, June 12th, they sold another 2.1 million. So they're literally dumping their ape stock. And this is really not supportive of this arbitrage trade thesis where, some people, a lot of shorts, are trying to hold this through, right? Intera Capital is not. They are dumping out of their positions. And that looks like a bullish thing for us. If they're dumping out of their position, well, that probably means AMC is not going to fall as much as they were previously expecting. So there you have that. I wanted to give you guys an update on Intera Capital because they are just dumping shares at a ridiculous pace. And I would imagine more so today as well. Now, if we take a look at the option activity, you have seen 16 orders totaling $2.69 million with a positive order value of 4%. Very, very low positive order value. Now, the positive order value on AMC is really getting skewed by very large orders because you actually seen a couple calls come through today. One of them, or both of them, are July 14th, $5 calls. One trade worth $55,000 and another trade worth $54,000. So $100,000 it looks like worth of calls placed on the day. You might have seen a put or two get sold as well, but again, everyone essentially is placing bearish bets on AMC. That's a story that we have seen over and over and over again, and that's why I want to be bullish as well. I don't want to bet with the crowd that AMC is going to be negative here, that those bets never pay off and usually are bad bets to make. Now, as far as the dollar amount currently sold short in AMC stock, you're looking at $539 million estimated short interest of free float at 23.62%. Free float out on loan at 37.52%. Shares out on loan 193.7 million. Days to cover 9.03. Cost to borrow 177.21%. And 91.83% share utilization. Again, I think the utilization for AMC is really at 100% still, as we've seen for like 2 years now. But I think it's the selling of Ape that is distorting some of these numbers here. And I've talked about that before, but just wanted to kind of let you guys know. I think it's just the selling of Ape. Now, AMC stock is still on the threshold securities list. 23.55% live short interest of free float. 121.61 million shares currently estimated to be sold short. Cost to borrow average 515.5%. Cost to borrow max 806.15%. Cost to borrow minimum at 8.26%. Interactive Brokers has cost to borrow fees at almost 200% for AMC. This is down a little from what we seen yesterday at 332%. And I think these rates do go higher in this following week, as if we don't hear anything today, we're going to hear something, probably obviously by the end of the day and after hours. And then you'll probably react to that next week and get that big move. But it is possible in after hours we do get some news, and you're able to capitalize on that. So there you have some of this information. As far as what's going on in the markets today, big story is inflation. So it says key inflation measure shows prices rose just 0.3% in May. The core personal consumption expenditures price index, a number closely watched by the Federal Reserve, increased 0.3% for the month. On the year, core PC inflation increased 4.6%, though the headline number was up just 3.8%. Spending rose just 0.1% for the month, below the 0.2% estimate, and a sharp drop from the 0.6% increase in April. Personal income accelerated 0.4% ahead of the 0.3% estimate. So weak personal spending, better inflation data, right? Inflation coming down and personal spending decreasing. Kind of what you would want to see, right? Personal spending being higher would have probably been a better thing, right? Ultimately, markets care about a recession, and that's what affects stocks, and that's why you have been so reactive around essentially 2022, right? It was all due to a recession or a feared potential recession. In other news, Apple's market cap tops $3 trillion. And it looks like it's going to close there for the first time ever. So very historical day here today. Now, AMC stock, as far as the stock tracker data, you're looking at for next week, you got about 13,000 calls in the money and 95,000 calls out the money, 18,000 puts in the money, and 72,000 puts out the money. For this Friday, for today, you have 32,000 calls in the money and 169,000 calls that are out the money. Puts in the money at 59,000, puts out the money at 98,000. So a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of, but a decent amount of option activity for today. Quite a few puts that look like they might expire in the money as well as calls too. 32,000 calls expiring in the money is pretty good as well. Now, the next couple of weeks until July 21st, you're going to see very little option activity for the next really 2 expirations. If you do start to get, which I expect we will, money flowing into AMC, whether it be calls or puts for these expirations, that's going to move around the stock quite a bit, right? As people are making their bets and trying to figure out what's going to happen with the stock. That fresh round of option buying can lead the stock to make pretty big moves, right? It's kind of like an illiquid stock where it doesn't get traded much. If you see a lot of options get traded all at once or over the course of a couple of days, it can affect the stock big time. And that's just due to the gamma effect and market makers hedging out their position. So there is that. There's really not too much as far as actual news with AMC today. I think you're really just in a wait and see kind of moment. At least that's how the markets are feeling right now. You're just really sideways, waiting for some news to come out. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. This effect will have on AMC. Do you think this court proceeding is going to be bearish? Do you think it's going to be bullish? Again, I personally think this is clearly a sell the rumor, buy the news event, and that's probably a reason why we have bounced from the lows at about $4 per share, currently sitting at $4.32 per share. The next level of resistance is going to be the 50-day moving average, and that is at $4.92 per share, 100-day moving average at $5.10 per share, and the 200-day moving average at $5.69 per share, and then ultimately $6 per share is going to be another big resistance level. But just depending how investors feel about AMC raising capital, billions of dollars, crushing that short thesis, does that drive them to cover on their short positions? In theory, it should. But do I know for sure? Absolutely not. I really don't have a crystal ball. It makes sense why they would, but it's possible that they don't. It's possible they see this thing through until the very end. Doesn't look likely, though. So that is going to do it for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Get yourself free stock with Webull down there as well. Sign up, deposit $1, get yourself 15 free stocks. It's a win-win for everyone involved. You throw me a couple free stocks, you keep 15 for yourself. Pretty fair trade there, I would say. If you guys have not signed up, link down below in the description of this video, as well as if you guys want to come trade with me live in real time every time I make a trade as well, link down below in the description of this video for that as well. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.